Good morning, everyone. I'm very grateful you all got up and got here. My talk is just about my personal journey. It was really just for people who, if you're already in the maker, you can just say, oh, whatever, we know it all. If you're not yet or you are thinking about it, this might be useful for you to hear about it. So that's me. My screen is not on. Do I need to do something? Teething problems in the morning. Give me a chance to work this. Yay. Okay. Okay. Hear me okay? Right. Sorry. This is probably better. All right. So a brief introduction about me. I'm currently a tax technology lead at Deliveroo. So if any of you have a bad experience with Deliveroo, never heard of it, and didn't like how they run, nothing to do with me. I can assure you the engineers at the company are working very hard, and they're very genuinely lovely people to work with. As a tax technology lead, most people, I would say 99% of people don't know what it is. It's a very niche area, even in the niche area of tax. So I'm trained as a tax advisor. That's a long story of how I got there. But essentially, right now, there's a lot of digital transformation in finance and also in tax as well. So essentially, my job is turning tax legislations or laws into digital solutions. So it's a bit very strange, rare area of taxation. So the normal thing of me, I think I've mentioned that's a normal, my normal work picture, looking very fancy, very in suits and doesn't really know how to walk generally. But I'm trained as economist and finance originally, and then got into Big Four accounting, and then worked in investment banks as well, and I'm qualified as accountant and a tax advisor. It's a very boring CV, to be honest, and I was specialized in an even more specialized area in international tax called transfer pricing. And you only get to a transfer pricing area when you're a global organization with subsidiaries and individual companies in different countries, and they transact with each other. So it's about pricing between them, and the taxation of them is very, very, very boring side of the tax, to be honest. It can't get any drier than that. But at the same time, I was thinking, I'm interested in data. I wonder what other people are doing. And I used to work in an advertising group, which actually has a tax department as well, and people just call us suits. Therefore, we're wearing suits, and they try to avoid us most of the time. But my job as a transfer pricing specialist, one part of the interesting part, slightly, is to actually go interview people and ask people, what do you do? So I can write so-called value chain analysis for tax authorities and understand where the business value is generated. So as a result of that, I came across data science. And I listened to these people, and I thought, you are the only people who understand that I actually know what you're talking about. You're translating data into patterns and get insights from it and use it for something else. So for me, that was very interesting. And I told my boss, I don't have to go to any more fancy conference for the rest of the year. Please let me learn something about data science. So they kindly sponsored me. And my boss is like, to be honest, I don't really know what it is, but if you really want to go, you don't have any budget for a conference, but you can use that for data science. So I went on a course and trained as a data scientist. And when I come back and I talked to some of the commercial directors in our programmatic division at the advertising group, and they were very welcoming about it. And they were like, free resources, if you want to do some data science, and come and sit here with us. At that point, no one really knew what I'm doing, what I can do. So I suggested to them, I'll do something like Insta Mood. I think that was the first thing I created. What I was trying to do is, we have so-called creatives. These are people who are creating your banners on the spam banners on the adverts on your ads, on your apps and that kind of thing. So they were like, we need ideas of what do we say today, because they have to churn this out very quickly. This is all pre-generative AI, by the way. So I thought about, if you look at your Instagram feeds in your area, localized in your area, and then grab the filter color, the main color palette on that filter, on that Instagram feeds, and then if you look at the top post, and you can translate that major color into a mood board. So if the major color is blue, and then you can say people are feeling blue on Monday, therefore can inspire you what you do for your caption or your banner ads on that day. So I created this little demo, and my boss in finance and tax team were like, what's this for? When the R&D people, we call that R&D people in the programmatic division, were like so excited about this, but one of them wasn't convinced the color and mood are related. So they were asking me like, can you explain what different colors could possibly be? And it turns out the dictionary of color to moods is about only 30 of them. That is known by psychologists world. And then you have to make sure different colors are actually translated to roughly bluish. That's when I realized there was a wonderful world from 1970s about the distance between color. How do you calculate different colors can be close enough to be called blue? That is a real science, and it's a very long wiki page. So those are the things that's constantly in my mind. So I thought, is it possible I do something in between, like just not to be the normal one, like behave like what mom and dad expect me to behave. They wanted me to be a banker, to be honest, most of the time. So my first encounter is like, thanks to, which is a reluctant word, about pandemic, is when I did one of this kind of conference meeting talk about international tax and transfer pricing, in case you forgot what it is. They gave me a voucher at John Lewis, and I have no idea what to buy, so I walked up and down, and I thought the only thing I can afford within that voucher limit and looks like a genuinely interesting goose is a sewing machine. So I thought I would just get a sewing machine. And then the lady at the shop looked at me and said, do you know how to use it? So I said, no idea, I will learn. And she showed me in about 20 minutes and then expect me to remember how to wear the thread. And then she was like, okay, off you go, it's very, very simple. And here's a piece of paper with different needles and different fabric. And I was like, thanks. And then I came back and I tried a few times and I was like, it's really not working. So I thought, like every good student, I need a teacher. So I found a sewing school, which you can't believe it. In London, you can still find a couple of them exist. So I found a sewing school and I asked the teacher to do like a very fundamental way of trying to teach you how to thread a sewing machine from the start. And that's where I started making some of my clothes. And you can see those are clothes. So 22 dresses, 5 trousers, 2 jackets and 2 shirts, and half coat because I haven't finished it yet. Later, I can now tell you I can reasonably make some dresses and clothes that I can actually wear, and I don't feel too ashamed and self-conscious. And I would always tell you like, oh, I made this, and people would say, oh, that's wonderful. I said, don't look into details. Those are no good at all. So, but yeah, that's the starting of my maker journey, I guess. And then I start looking into online courses, or to be honest, this is because it's pandemic and there's not much going on in person, I would much prefer to do it in person. And one of the guys, a friend of mine that I met virtually when we were looking at VR games, recommended Mark Roberts, Great Creative Engineering. If any of you guys are interested in, I highly recommend his course. I think he's one of the guys who just genuinely just love sharing and can distill very complex concepts into very simple things. I think before I got onto his course, I just think 3D modeling is just so high up there, and you need like many, many years of training, which you do. I appreciate that. But he distilled it down to like, this is just about extruding and putting a hole in. You can pretty much do everything if you know how to do this too. I think his way, he said it in a much nicer way, but his way of explaining things, simplify it, really helped me to get rid of that fear of like, I can't possibly do anything near that. I would say like most of these courses will have like a project you should do, like a capstone projects online, and you have a community that you can explain to people. So my first idea is I need to look for real life problems, which is I put egg on my kitchen counter and I keep rolling. So I thought I'll make an egg hugger, which have genuinely no use whatsoever. So like most people are like, you have the carton, you know, you put your egg in the carton. I said, no, I want something that sit like this. When the egg is dropped in, it will hug the egg. So I thought it's just a simple transferring a downward force into a horizontal force, how hard can it be? And it turns out to be very hard. And today it's not realized, but I have looked at a lot of mechanisms of how people actually hold their phone, which is more or less what I want, but except I want a curve which fits the egg shape, which is also quite hard. But anyway, I highly recommend him. And if of all of you, if you're interested in 3D printing and then you wanted to do your own models, I would recommend Product Design Online. This guy is he's just awesome. He did 36 episodes of how to do 3D model design using Fusion 360. There are quite a lot more alternatively, but I find his course most useful because you can basically create something by the end of this video. One word of warning is his video is normally about 15 minutes per module. Then he said, by the end of this module, you can create a Lego brick, for example. I can assure you it was never 15 minutes. You click it and follow, so how did it go? And normally it's about an hour or two before you finish the whole course, and I'm okay, now I can create a Lego, and then you forgot how you do it in the first place. So it takes a bit back and forth, but it was very, very rewarding afterwards. And then I found a place called Fab Academy. The reason I put Product Foundry in is, unless someone here knows, and you can tell me otherwise, there isn't a Fab Academy in the UK. This is a Stanford, I think, MIT initiative is called Learn How to Make Almost Anything. So you can check this is LHMAA. It's actually a full course. In this course, they basically are teaching anyone to become a maker. So it includes electronics training, includes 3D modeling, 3D printing, laser cutting, and all sorts of things. And I looked into it. I think the nearest hub for us is in Amsterdam. But at the time in 2022, there is a place called Plus X in Brighton. It's a maker space and also a kind of like a co-working space. They do have they had run it for one year. It takes 6 months and it's a lot of commitment, and they said it's quite expensive for people to participate. So instead they did a short version, like a UK version called Product Foundry, which I found quite useful, which actually taught you a lot of things about laser cutting and 3D printing. They're not going to go into much details, but they will give you an introduction and let you use the machines, and then you can just keep using it. So for me, I've written up in a QR code if you really want to know. They had a six-week course will explain to you about design principles all the way to the individual work, how you do actual work in theory. And also they have supported me to do this is actually a foldable children's art book, Could Be Nan Wu. It's not finished till today. This is basically, I try to make a 3D foldable art book with music inbuilt in it, and basically inspired by the art of war. So if any of you wonder what's been a war, is because there's never a fixed mutual understanding between historians who actually wrote the Art of War. Some people think they are written by Sun Bin, the other people think they're written by Sun Wu, and they actually think these are the same people, or they might not be. So it's a myth. That was like an inside pun, but I don't think most people would ever know it if I don't say about this. But yeah. So I have 3 takeaways for anyone who are trying to be a maker yourself, or thinking, at least those are things that I found is useful. One is the best way to learn is to pick a project. I did quite a lot. I picked, every time I feel like if you wanted to learn and then open a book and open a tutorial, it doesn't really work. The best way to work is really just pick something you wanted to do, and then the problem will come, I can guarantee. And then the rewards maybe or may not be coming. But if you don't pick a project, I can guarantee no rewards. And then this is my cat Chester. Was helpfully sitting on the board which has a 3D map underneath, which I really hope he doesn't sit on, but he decided this is the place I need to sit. And then there's other things. Sorry, I'll finish my 3 takeaways. The second one is to drop perfectionism. I don't know if anyone is perfectionist here yourselves. I know I'm still guilty to this day. If something doesn't align, something was like not quite right, I was always like, it bothers me so much. But I know at some point, if you don't drop it, you will never get there. So I think that's some motto I need to repeat to myself as well. And finally, I want to say, yes, you can. It's just that most of the time I feel there's an imposter syndrome, especially when I come here. I was like, oh, I think everyone else work looks much more complex, and mine looks like a school project. But sorry, but I feel like I'm not sure. But I think you just need to keep telling yourself, like, if you work on it, it will work eventually. It will happen eventually. And thank you. This is all my talk, actually. A shameless plug for myself. I have an exhibition of something called Sea Angels about lighthouses that was printed on 3D printed maps of the world. And I picked 200 lighthouses out of about 40,000 in the world, and I put them around where they roughly supposed to be. They're in display in a container in the now sector, if you have time to take a look. And it's still me trying to think, should I do tax, or should I do some more quests, or should I do tax or more quests? This is why this is right in the middle, not anywhere else. But yeah, thank you very much for your attention.